Hey, welcome to the Sort of Okay show about horses with Bach, and Kyle. Ready? High five!
Yeah, it's backwards.
We're trying a new format here because we've had trouble the last little while getting our stuff together because Bach is up north and I'm still in Florida. And so we're trying a new format, and hopefully this works, and we'll build on it, and our shows will become finally regular, rather than the two of us having to be in the same location to make them happen. So we're really excited about this, and hopefully you guys enjoy it, and it's not a complete disaster.
And it's Kyle's anniversary, and he's taking his time away from his beautiful wife to do this show. And but he did save $5. He didn't actually have to pay the money that I paid to do this Skype thing. So congratulations, Kyle! You did it again.
Exactly. As long as I can keep saving those $5, at some point I'll have enough to buy myself a really, really fancy pony for my child.
That sounds good. I'll be looking. I'm on the other end. I'll try to get a free pony for my child.
I've got a couple of those.
Yeah, I think we're going to go down the golf or tennis route. Actually,
I'm doing running shoes.
Good idea.
Today we're going to talk about. We got a couple of things we want to cover. Great Meadows being one of them. The shows this weekend, the Nations Cup. We've got the Olympic. Some of the Olympic squads. We want to discuss a few of the interesting and choices and congratulating a few riders, that sort of thing. And then we've got a really cool announcement at the end that we want to let you all in on. Some of you probably have already participated in it, but we're hoping it's going to be quite big. So let's start with Great Meadows, man. I see that you're riding.
Yeah, I am. I'm riding Copper Beach. They put a lot of effort into the event. They've done a lot of marketing and publicity and trying to get a lot of people out to get everybody excited and ready for First Nations Cup in America. But more than that, get the Olympic fever going and everybody pulling for the U.S. If you're from the U.S., I guess maybe the Canadian people will be pulling for Canada. I don't know. Maybe they'll pull for the U.S. Who knows? But we're really excited, and for me, it's even more exciting because Justine Dutton got named to the English team, and that's a really, really big deal for her, and it should be a fun weekend.
That's awesome. So the English team. So let's just because we can go through a couple of the team things, and I don't know that we won't go through everybody, but the English team then is who?
It's Jody Amos and Wisecrack. It's Rosalind Cantor with All-Star B, Justine Dutton with Huck Finn, and I'm trying to go through my phone here. I'm not actually looking away from the camera. And Ben Way with Willow's Tipster. And I don't know anything about any of the horses except for Finn. And he's going really well, and I'm excited for Justine. And I think it's it looks like a fairly green group coming over for England, but it's but they wouldn't be sending them all the way here if they weren't any good. So we'll expect them to be primed and ready.
Well, what a great experience for them to come abroad. We always talk about traveling overseas, and it's always a big deal to go and get that mileage. And here they are, returning the favor and getting to get their riders' feet wet, across the pond. And I think it's great that America's got to the point where it actually is, worth their travel to come over. And Great Meadows has done a great job to make that a desirable decision. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and look at it done in show jumping. I mean, they have so many team competitions, and there's so much excitement. And Great Meadows has put in new rings, and they're in a community that's horse community that is 100% behind it. And we've had, I think this is maybe the third or the fourth year that we've sort of had the event there, and teams get bigger and better and more exciting every year. So looking forward to going down there.
Yeah. All right. Well, so and then America's got two teams going, is what I've been told, to represent. Is that correct in the Nations Cup?
I have absolutely no idea. I
Okay.
am not either one of those teams.
Yeah.
So
I don't
I
have the I do not have the list in front of me of that. All I've got is the entry list. So I heard that America was going to be represented by two teams, which is great because they'll gives them a chance to again ride in a team format and again at a feature event and have international competition right with them. And then Canada probably had the choice to send two teams, but they ended up sending one, which I have to say was sort of a weird decision to me because you had this opportunity to really increase the mileage on the horses and get everybody involved and behind it. Maybe they only had the option to send one team, but they were funny. They told us they were going to enter the horses, and then they sent entries in only on four horses, mine being one that was left off. And then when I asked them about it, because I thought I maybe misunderstood what was supposed to happen, they told me that then, a couple hours after they told me they weren't sending an entry, and they were like, "Oh, we are sending an entry in for your horse, but he'll be on the wait list." And I basically said to them, this is just, it's not like I managed to enter my own events and not have this problem. It just wasn't worth the waste of time. So I'm doing a clinic in Louisville this weekend instead. But there's five, I think, Canadians on the wait list there. For some reason, my horse keeps appearing on there, although I keep calling to tell the federation to pull it because I don't want to support, being on a wait list because it does look a little bit ridiculous to be in that situation. And all those riders that are on that are Canadian, I think the same thing happened to, because I've heard I know two of them anyways, were grumbling about how they ended up in this situation. Again, a really big missed opportunity because although they might not have these horses for the Olympics in their sight, there's a World Championships coming in 2 years. There's another Olympics in 4 years. And we have to start thinking further ahead about how we produce these horses. So basically the team, was sort of leaked a little bit by those four riders that are on the team, that are riding at the Nations Cup, which are Jessica Phoenix, Waylon Roberts, Colleen Loach, and then Celine O'Hanlon. And I'd say that's a pretty solid looking group. And when they announced that, I understood their sort of why they were going there, as far as those riders being on the team. And then we've got two people in England that were trying as well. So you start to deduce pretty quickly what the team would look like. The funny thing is, on that end of it, is I had a different team picked than what actually has been leaked out into the public press. And if the public press has it correctly, which a lot of people are talking as though they know, I think it was a bit surprising what it appears to be. So the big surprise on it was, I don't know if you've seen it, but Jessica Phoenix was down as an alternate, not actually on the team.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously a big surprise to, certainly to me anyway. And, she seems to have a lot of horses. And, I don't know, just, I've been at a few events and just sort of, I've been in a few warm-up rings and I've seen, a little bit here and there, but it doesn't look to me like everything between the coach and player are on the same page. And, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or, she, maybe had a little bit of a down year this year. And look, I'm not in any position to be picking anybody, but might get exciting. That's all I can say. I don't know anything more than that, but it's.
I don't know. I think that you absolutely. I mean, I think with mileage and with interest in the sport, everybody's in this position to sort of pick the team and have their ideas and stuff. And we obviously do it on this show all the time. And so I think really we have a very valid opportunity to say what we thought it would be and what it wouldn't be. That said, she has had a little bit of a weak season with the one horse. The other one, although it did incredible at Jersey, the other horse, I think it was a mistake to run it at the Pan Ams last year. I said it at the time. I didn't think they should choose it because it forced her to try to qualify on Pavarotti this year. And they should have taken, in my opinion, the 4-star horse and ran him at the 3-star last year, give him time to really get solid because he is a horse that is a bit delicate. Regardless, I don't know how that all turned out. I just know that he's on the reserve. but as far as the coach and player thing, like I heard through, I didn't go to Bromont, but I heard through the grapevine there was all sorts of fireworks at Bromont between the two of them and between an owner and Clayton. And, it is, the job is management. And sometimes you do have to get into a situation where you might be at a disagreement with the rider. But one thing with Jessie is and I guess this is what surprised me about it, is she's always showing up at the team competitions. Since I was on the team in 2007 when she was an individual in Rio, and she was, green, and she did a great job. I think she had a stop on course. She was at the World Championships where she pulled off a huge save as an individual, and the horse unfortunately didn't jog up the last day. But every time she goes and shows up. I don't think you ever leave that person off the team. And I think an example would be, to a much greater extent, but William Fox Pitt made the team they announced he made the team for the UK, and he's coming out of a very, tough spot. And but they bank on their player being the right player. But I'm not sure, I'm not sure that we have the same professionalism to make that decision, I guess.
Yeah, and look, as much as you're a friend and all that stuff, I honestly don't spend that much time thinking about Canada, surprisingly. And so
I know that.
But I'm always in for the excitement and for the drama, and don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And and there seems to be a lot more drama going on in Canada than there is in the U.S. Is a good thing. And, I'm excited to, I got nothing to do this summer. And so I'm going to sit back and watch Canada, maybe implode. I don't know.
In the last 3 team competitions, I don't know. I mean, I try to follow as much worldwide as I can. I just always find things interesting. But this going on in my own country makes it very interesting. But this is the 3rd team with this present program that they've had a huge issue after the team was announced. Last year, nobody protested or appealed the decision. But the World Championships, Catherine Robinson had to get taken off because of paperwork problems that were known about before they announced the team. So that looked a little silly. Then last year was a different situation, and it was a little bit, exciting, let's say. And then this year, and Jessie apparently is appealing the decision. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well, because it does come down to whether the program has the strength or the rider has the strength. So we'll have lots to talk about on the show, anyways, if we just even follow Canada.
Exactly. And I think it is, one thing that's sort of interesting is that the coach is also a selector, I believe, in Canada. And in America, we really pushed for the coach not to be a selector. Obviously, they have input. Of course, they're going to say, what they think or whatever. But I think long term, it's a bad thing for the coach to actually be selecting, because then the personal side of it comes in. And, I think it can actually sometimes, as they say, you live by the sword, die by the sword. People have too much power. Like, it can work for a bit, but then when it goes wrong, you're quickly out. And I would, sometimes it's easier to say, all right, of course you're going to meet with the selectors and tell them what you think and who's going well and blah, 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 whatever. But at the end of the day, then the coach steps back and they can say, let's, this is who needs to go. And then there can't be, well, I don't like Kyle because he wears a Purina hat and he's too tall. That's or I don't like Buck because he has no hair or whatever, or he can't ride. One of the, those kind of things.
Personal decisions.
Exactly. And so I think maybe it might be in Canada's best interest to maybe change that up in the future. But look, who am I to say? But if I was a coach, that would be
there would be no trouble.
thing.
That's the thing is it never was set up that way. It was changed last fall, and when they were changing it, I was talking to one of the people. I think it was our new general manager, and I was like, "That is a terrible idea," because if you leave off a rider this cycle and they get on the next cycle and you're still the coach, they still hate you for being left off. I mean, there's no way you can't be a little bit, drawn into it. And then in this situation, if Jessie wins that appeal and they go to Rio with her, and she's a professional and she's going to do her best, and I know that, but you're still going to have that back history in there. Just as it was a bad idea, I think, and I don't think it was like a bad idea. Like, sometimes you have an opinion it's a bad idea, but you have to test it. This, I think, was pretty apparently not going to work very well at some point. And what do you know? In the first year, we're actually going to get to test it. So,
and how do you, if the appeal's won, then how do you call up somebody and say, sorry, just kidding, you're not a
yeah, exactly. Now that said, I've been involved in an appeal process before when another rider appealed a team. The riders typically, I don't know if this time will be the same thing, but typically they go and they actually sit with, you actually call in as a rider, and because the team members that will be affected are actually have a voice, because it affects them directly. So when it's all being hashed out, the riders actually are involved in the process a little bit, which is good as well. And it also can be a bit, you don't want to be saying, well, they don't deserve to be on there because I'm so much better. But anyways, I just thought that was interesting, and Canada's going to do its thing, and we'll see how that all works out. They certainly are giving us something to talk about.
Exactly. Good luck to them.
So, and then on the Olympic squads, then, I mean, I think that, and I don't have all of them. We're going to get those together, I think, for next week to do some reviewing stuff. But with the Olympic squads, how do you feel about the American squad? I'm just going to, if you don't mind, I'm just going to roll to the other side of the room because I'm getting a lot of sunlight on that. There we go.
There we go. Perfect. You look way better on that side of the room anyway.
Yeah.
I think the U.S. team is really good, and I think it's no surprises really. I was quite frankly, a little surprised with a couple of the backups, but being whatever. But the guys, the four guys that are on the team, or the four guys that should be on the team, they were, Philip has been better than he's ever been in the last year. And, I have to say it's for the couple of years where Emma was gone, he struggled. And, now she's back, and you can definitely say that she's it goes to show you how important the grooms are and how much the team really matters, because his results went straight back up once she came back. And so I think that can't be, that's a big deal, because all the horses are going well, and they're all sound. And, I would, obviously Philip's a great rider, but for me, the credit has to go to Emma, because she's been the biggest turnaround in that whole, when she left, it was a big void. And, she's a great girl, and, she'll actually head that squad as much as Philip. And, it's, I think it's important to give credit to those guys, but Emma sticks out to me as, his career went, you thought he was almost done, and now he looks like he's going better than he's ever gone. And there's lots of factors, but I would say Emma's a big one.
Absolutely, and it is. It totally, when you see one component come out and then and obviously there were other people in there that would be filling that spot. But when someone comes back in and has that huge effect, and also was so effective before, people always look for that coach, but you need that system in the barn so that you can relax about what's going on there, and you're not, all your energy isn't drawn into basically putting out little fires and stuff. And I mean, Emma Ford is, I always look at it and I say to people, there's like 5, maybe 10 grooms in this country that you look at and you're like, wow, that's a good groom. That person really knows what they're doing. And I'm not talking about turning the horse out. I'm talking about the whole thing. And they should be held up as much as, a really top rider, I think, or more. They put so much into it. And, people always say that, but I think a lot of times it's lip service. but the ones that run a program that really get it. And Emma obviously is that, and has totally proven it.
Totally. And so that's a huge asset to America. And that, I think, Philip's going great. I think Clark did a really good job of managing everything and, putting his horse in the right spot as far as going to Lemuelin, and he knew it was going to be easy. 2 years ago, and then his horse goes really well at Blenheim, and then just to do some CICs this year. He won Blenheim, which is a big deal. He's been very, very competitive at the CICs. The horse is very, very good in flat, very good in the dressage. And from everything I've heard, the course in Rio is going to be more like a 2-star. And so I think that's that's a huge thing, and he's earned his way onto that. Boyd has obviously done great with the chestnut horse, and it's that one is a little bit different than the others because he's not quite as good on the flat and quite as good in the show jumping, but it's a great cross country horse, and Boyd has delivered this year with that horse and pulled off a great round in Kentucky. I think he only had one down, and a top finish. So he certainly, you'd think that he would probably go first as far as for the Americans because of the cross country, and then Lauren has been quite consistent with Veronica. She's been second twice in the last couple of years in Kentucky. She had a bit of an off year as far as she had a bit of trouble in Kentucky last year, but it's gone very, very well this year. And she's riding as good or better than she's ever ridden. And so I think America's it's a really exciting time, and you got to have a bit of luck, but I don't think we're taking the Hail Mary, as my friend Carl would say, that we're not taking that Hail Mary chance that a lot of times we took where somebody didn't do anything, but they could get a low dressage score once every 35. Yeah. We have people in there that have consistently been productive, and and in saying, with all the squabbling that's apparently going on in Canada, I mean, like, with my situation with Flower and, not going through the vet as well as everybody thought. I mean, I got a call from Susan Johns, the vet. I got a call from David to explain, why, what was going on. And, couldn't have been nicer, couldn't have been more professional, couldn't have been more sorry. They couldn't have been better. And, it was a shock to everybody. And, and David rode the mare the day before and said she was fantastic. And so, communication is a big deal, and, I think we're all on the right track. I think David's doing a good job. And, I think we have a team that is, look, you're going to need some luck to get the result that we really want. But, you would probably go in saying that we might not be the favorites, but we're not going to be joked. That's for sure. And then, if we can have a bit of luck, and you never know what can happen.
Well, it's interesting. I think there's 2 points there that are definitely worth, obviously they went with Boyd for his, because he's consistent. He's always, he does it. So that horse isn't maybe the best suited for this environment, but you want to take Boyd along. And then the thing with Clark is that I really respect with that is they never gave up on the horse when it started going a little bit poorly. So many people wrote it off, and he's just persevered. And the horse, I've always really liked the horse. I mean, there are certainly things about it that you would, you'd like to see it be better with. But in this environment, that could be quite a threat. And I think that over time, Clark has so much mileage with it that if he really puts it on that weekend, he knows exactly what to expect. And I got to give him props for not quitting on it, because so many people just go, oh, it's not good enough. And, won't ever do this or that. And, he's kept with it. And Blenheim is a bloody tough course, hard physically, hard on the jumps. And so that winning that is obviously no easy feat. And then the other thing that I think is interesting is, first of all, I think the Americans are obviously on the right track and stuff, but David was the last person to ride your horse, and then it showed up lame. So you're blaming David for your lack of success and not making the team. Can we quote you on that?
Is that what I said?
I'm pretty sure that's how I took it personally.
I don't have a candidate. I said how professional the Americans were. And, of course, he told me how beautifully trained the mare was, and he just couldn't imagine that, that wasn't just going to get handed a gold medal and, this is all craziness. But he just
trained because you never ride it, so.
Well, that's why I sent it down for him to ride it, and he trained and he said it's perfect. So I do know my strengths, and I'm a good delegator. And, if I think somebody can get their head down, guess what? Have at it. I am not proud. And no, I mean, they were awesome. And everybody, and look, she was perfect on deflections, perfect on the straight line. She's a bit funny on the circle. Whatever, she's fine now. And, I couldn't, be, more excited for America that, that things are, like everything was handled the right way. Everybody, they were so upfront, so caring, and, felt so bad for me. And, now new baby and all that stuff, I get, I put things in perspective pretty easily now. And grand scheme of things, I'm not going to get Zika, hopefully.
No, it's a great program. And I think the thing that David, like when he was our coach, one of the things he did that was great was he was great at uniting and bringing people in and bringing the right people in and stuff. And I think he's done it. He's doing it right now. And then I think they made some good choices, because they didn't go for that like glory of the first day. They said, we need some producers. We're going to bank on this and then, see how it shakes out and make sure that they finish with a performance. Which
easier is we don't have that one that's glory in the first day anyway. So, that we don't.
Clark Source is no slouch there.
He does the other two phases too. So that's not how we've had plenty that only did the first day and that's it.
Absolutely.
We went for that. But, talk about controversy. What about how amazing Andrew Nicholson? I mean, he's not on the New Zealand team or whatever, but are you kidding me? He goes and wins. I mean, like, what? Like,
unbelievable. And when all that goes on, you just got to wonder what goes through his head.
I don't know. I mean, I saw him at Badminton, and he looks, he's just as competitive as he was, but it almost just made him just that little bit more, almost more real and more in touch with life, and more appreciation for what he had, and how many people sort of care about him and, his family, and, that winning wasn't everything. But, wow, I mean, amazing, him and William. I mean, both, with 2 classes at Tattersall's, and, amazing. Just like, it is incredible. And we are lucky to be able to watch those 2 guys.
It is an absolute, it's a great time in the sport, I think, in a lot of ways. So, sorry, because I've got to get going because I have an anniversary dinner that I need to go to in about 3 minutes. And we have the last thing, and we're going to talk about it next week a little bit more and give you guys the details on what events it's going to happen at. And my co-host is going to announce it because my phone's over here. We got a game that we played at Bromont. And what do we got here? What's it called?
It is called FantasyEquestrianTeams.com. And Kyle and I partnered with this to see if we can't make eventing a little bit more exciting and maybe everybody can make a little bit of money, but sort of get into the fantasy eventing league, if you will, and even bet and lose money on Kyle.
Yeah, well, and the thing is that it brings in. I've had people when we started the show and we started talking about doing the teams and we chose teams and stuff. I had kids come up to me and riders and be like, my husband's finally interested in what's going on, or my parents dad finally actually cares what's going on because he can kind of follow the team and put a team together and stuff. And this, as much as the competitions are in themselves interesting, when you put a team together, like we just are talking about as a selector and the choices you make, and everybody's got an opinion. So put your money on the line. It's a game of skill to go out there and go, how would I craft my team? And so we're going to we will get into this more next week, but basically we're going to talk about how that's going to play out, how you're going to put your teams together, and then what events are we're going to offer that on, because we've actually partnered with them and on this show. So we're going to pick teams too. I know we did Bromont. My selections didn't go through because I'm useless on the computer, but Bucks, I know Buck, I think your team was like, you were terrible. Like everybody beat you. You were awful. My teams wouldn't have done any better, but everybody beat you. You were like 32nd or something. It was awful.
I was so good. I was so good after the first day.
You sound like Donald Trump. We're gonna get you a hairpiece. So you do that and be like, it'll be amazing. That was incredible.
This hair is
so there's gonna be cool. There was cash on the line at Bromont. I think we had like 89 people played it, which is great because it only started on the Tuesday. But then there's going to be like cool prizes and gifts and stuff. And we're going to have some of the stuff go through this show as well. But I think it's going to be pretty cool and lots of fun. And again, it gives you a chance to really, show us. Do you know what you're talking about? Like we're sitting here talking crap, but what do we know? So exactly. It'll be fun. So we're going to start that. We're going to get a little bit more into that next week. Okay.
Perfect.
Anyways, I'd say that's a wrap. Don't you think, Buck?
Awesome. Look to the right.
I like what we're doing here. You guys let us know what you think of the new Skype thing. Over to the boom.
Wrong way.
Wrong way? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's right. There we go.
All right. I think you're wrong, but all right.
Our high fives are like our riding. We miss all the time.
We should go on into another. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Great.